Alright, got 7 battle axes, 7 mail shirts, we're ready to fight. Now for food I've got, only 104 points. So today I want to talk about some different Embark plans you can make if you want to be a little more creative. Sometimes you want to spend some more points because you have a role-playing thing you want to do, because you want to make a quick run to the caverns, because you want to focus on a certain industry, and you may want to spend all of your points just bringing plump helmets and alcohol with you. Some of them can actually be a little pricey, so let's just take a look and see what you can do for a lot less points. First and foremost, let's look to see what things actually cost if you just want to bring them with you. So let's go find drinks here. Drinks. You only have access to the 4 dwarven drinks, and they want 2 points per. They can fit up to 10 drinks in one barrel. You'll see a lot of long-term players always bumping these up to 11 or 21 or 31 because they get an extra barrel that only has 1 drink in it. So as soon as that drink is consumed, they free up a barrel. But here we're using 22 points for our wine for only 11 wine. Now, so what some long-term players will do, they'll still bring some drinks, but they'll actually come down and bring a couple plump helmets. For each plump helmet, when they brew it, makes 5 drinks. So that 11 drinks, which cost us 22 points, we could replace those 11 drinks with 3 plump helmets for 12 points. If they took these and brewed them, we would have 12 drinks instead of the 11 drinks, and we've actually saved ourselves a good bit of points. Your other option is to get rid of those and go down to garden vegetables. Now these will vary based on where you're embarking, but you can see things like grapes and cranberries, blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries are only 2 points each. So again, to get that 12 drinks to beat the 11 we talked about, we only need 3 strawberries, and they would come in a barrel. So you take them out, brew them, and put it back in the same barrel, and for 6 points you now have the same number of drinks. We went from 22 down to 12 down to 6 points. So that is always an easy option for drinks. Many long-term players will still bring plenty of drinks, but they won't bring as many as you may see in some of the other recommendations where they say, hey, throw 80 or 90 drinks in the cart. It's just unnecessary. So you can pump these up, and these also are some of the cheapest foods you can bring as well. So they're kind of all-purpose. If you look at the meats, many of them are 4 points. You'll see some 2 points here. Several people will often look at hearts and see 2 points here, 2 points here, some are 6. That depends on the value of the animal. But when you look at some of these other ones, a meal is a meal. So you can throw a heart in here. Now, this prepared yak heart. It's 1 meal, costs 2 points, gets a barrel. If you use a different animal, say deer, an emu, and let's look for another 2-pointer down here, throw something else, a pond grabber, you now have 4 meals and 4 barrels, all for 8 points. So if I took these 4 with me and I prepared 1 lavish meal, they would grab these 4, make 1 prepared meal, put that in the barrel, one of the barrels, and I now have 3 free barrels that I can then brew these strawberries into and make all my wine with me. So as you can see, this is significantly less points than had I just grabbed only the plump helmets and the wine. So what I want to do today is we're going to make a couple different Embark plans, and we're going to embark with them and see how long it takes for us to come up with all the food and drink that we think we need for the first season or 2, perhaps significantly longer. And I'm setting myself a budget of 100 points to see what I can do. For our first experiment, we're going to spend 100 points by picking 10 different types of meat at 2 points each, and I got 3 of each of those for a total of 60 points for food. I then picked strawberries, and I like strawberries because when you plant them and harvest them, you get both the strawberry itself and a strawberry plant. You actually get 2 foods instead of 1, and you can cook those strawberry plants to expand out your prepared meals. but this is 40 points in garden vegetables and 60 points in food. This gives us 10 barrels. So I'm going to grab a couple logs and we're going to embark and see what it takes to process all of these. Alright, we've embarked with that selection of animal hearts and strawberries. We're in a 1x1 embark just to test this out. So let's see how this goes. We're in our workshops. Farming. Let's throw down a still. Put the still right here. And then we're going to need a kitchen, workshops, farming. Find the kitchen right over here. We'll build that right there. That's fine. Now, the other thing we need to handle is the strawberries. There's a glitch right now that they will not use the strawberries off the cart. I believe it is because, thank you tooltips, I believe it's because they've put the strawberries in a bag. And that's kind of weird that they put it in a bag. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to dump the strawberries. And I want to dump the bag. But they won't do it yet. You have to go over here to labor, standing orders, refuse and dumping, and tell them to gather outdoor material. So let's unpause this and see what they do. Okay, they have built our still and our kitchen, and they're putting the strawberries here in the dump. So let's pause that again. Before we do anything, we're going to go into labor, kitchens. We have no appropriate ingredients. Because we have to claim them. So first things first, let's reclaim this. That's ours now. Cycle that 1 second. Now if we go to labor, kitchen, strawberries. Do not cook with these strawberries. Now that we've done that, let's tell them to start preparing easy meals. On repeat. They'll start cooking. Heart, heart. And they've freed up some barrels. So now we can say, brew drink from fruit. Repeat. And as barrels are becoming available, we now have that. So let's pause this and just make a quick stockpile just to see what we get. Put it right here. Accept. And I just want to see the prepared meals and drinks. Let's let that run. They're putting out the extra barrels we have. They put the prepared food in the barrels. They're continuing to cook. If we look in here, see we currently have a couple of prepared meals. Here's 25 wine. Here's another 25 wine. Watch these drink numbers jump up. These other prepared meals that we have. And he's finishing the last prepared meal. One, two, three. And as soon as they move over that wine, we'll be good to go. Hey, somebody move the wine in. Alright, but we have finished using up all of our food. We have in here prepared food to the realm of 66666. Okay, so I've got 30 prepared meals, and I have kind of this 25, 100 drinks. All right, to our next plan, again with 100 points, let's look at the wine and cheese embark. There's another video on this, but I thought I'd throw it in here real quick using our 100 point budget. So grabbing strawberries again, this time 25 instead of 20 because I had a few extra points. I grabbed 10 different kinds of milk. 10 different animals, 5 of each of those milks, for a total of 50 points here, and then 50 points for the 25 strawberries. Now, milk is edible on its own, so this is actually one of the cheapest foods you can bring anyway. But we can also process it into cheese, and when we do so, we free up a barrel for each one of these, whereas all the cheese can be stacked into one barrel. Alright, once again we've embarked. Let's throw down a couple workshops here. This time, instead of the kitchen, we're going to do a farmer's workshop. We'll put that right there with one of our logs. We're going to grab a still. Workshops, farming, still. We'll put that right there with a log. And again, we want to set up a zone to dump those strawberries. Accept. Close that down. Go over to labor. Standing orders. Refuse. Gather refuse online. Go in here. Find our bag of strawberries as per usual. Look at it. We want to dump the bag itself as well as the strawberries. Let's unpause. Let everybody get to work. It says we're out of food. But that's fine. We're not out of food. Let's reclaim those and suddenly not out of food. And again, though, we want to go into labor. Let's make sure we don't cook those. We only ever want to brew those. Set this guy to start making cheese on repeat. Once he begins, and we have a barrel freed up, we can now go to task. Wait till you have that barrel free. With the meat, you have a barrel right away. We can now brew drink. Let's pause this real quick and just throw down a accept, custom. All I want to see are the cheeses that I get, all the cheeses, and the drinks. Starting to put the cheese out. And as barrels become available, they'll start stacking them in here as well. He said, hey, look, I got a barrel. They took the barrel too soon, so it stopped the brewing for a second here. Let's go to task, get that back going. But in the cheese barrel, you can see, already getting plenty of food. Got the wine going. So, with this Embark, same 100 points, 50 food, 125 drink, since we get 5 barrels of 25 wine. You just gotta do a little more logistics here. But the nice thing is that the cheese is actually worth more than the meat was. Strawberry wine here. He's brewing these strawberries here. Still making cheese. So we started on the 1st. We're 10 days into the month. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 barrels of strawberry wine. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the cheeses, and he's just finishing up the last cheese, and that's it. So, by the 13th of the month, halfway through a month, we now have 100 drink and 50 food for 100 points. For our last experiment, we're going to try something a little different, a little more work involved, but might be pretty interesting with what we get out of it. I spent 99 points. I bought an extra 7 longs because I'm not getting any barrels with this right now. 24 strawberries and 5 turkeys. I picked hens. We could go gobblers. I just picked hens so that if you don't get to this right away, you can also get some additional eggs. But what we're going to do is we're going to try to slaughter them and cook them up and get the bones and the leather and all the meat from all these animals and see what we get out of it. Alright, so here we are again. We've embarked with what we brought. You can see our turkeys around. So let's do the same thing this time. Workshop-wise, we're going to go into farming, and we're looking for a butcher. So let's place our butcher right here. We're not going to use our 7 logs. We also need to, this time, do a workshop. We need a carpenter who's going to make our barrels. Right there. We still need to build our still. Put that right here for now. It's one of those. We can also, if we want, because people will have time, go to farming, and we can go to the tannery. And we'll put a tannery right over here next to where the butcher's going to be. We need to, again, dump all of the strawberries on the ground. Accept. Go to the wagon, scroll down, find your bag of strawberries, look inside of it, dump it and the strawberries. It'll be upset in a minute, but that's okay. And finally go over to your labors, standing orders, refuse, workers gather. And let's hit play. Everybody's going to get to work for a minute. They're saying, hey, we're out of food. That's not good. But it's actually fine. Alright, we've built that. Carpenter, I want you to make barrels. Barrels. And make it out of the applewood that we brought. That way he'll make just those 7. So he'll start working on that. We've got our strawberries over here. I will unforbid them real quick, which makes everybody happy. We're going over to our animals, and we're going to say butcher them. Now, one thing to point out with this is you always have 2 animals who drew your wagon, who you can butcher as well. And we can play with that. Depending on what you get a lot of meat out of these. So in theory, you could leave with no food and immediately just butcher your horses or your yaks or your cows or whatever dragged your wagon. But we're going to leave that as is for now. And the still, we'll have to wait until we get a couple barrels going. So let's unpause, and they'll begin doing some work here. We can unforbid, reclaim. Now once he's got a barrel, and he made a barrel, go to the still, drink from fruit, repeat. The butchering takes no time at all. Now look at this right away. All this meat we have in here. Along with the bones. And we're already starting to tan. We already have turkey leather. Now let's throw together a stockpile here, and just to see what we get out of all of this. Try to stockpile, accept, custom. Of course, I want to see all the meat we get. I want to see all the drink we get. We can even see the fat we get, which will be interesting. And if you make a kitchen, they'll start making tallow, so you can make soap right away. And while we're at it, let's also see what kind of leather we get in this thing. First, they're just laying it on the ground for our convenience. Isn't that nice? But as soon as we get some barrels ready, we're still waiting on that barrel. So that is one of the challenges there. There should be they'll start gathering meat. He's got some barrels ready, but they're being tasked. There we go. So it slows it down a little bit because you have to make the barrels. But look at our food jumping up very quickly. So if we just pause this here a second, and we go look at our stocks for as accurate as they can be. A lot of turkey meat, turkey intestines. See here, 9, 9, 8. So you get 8 to 9 meat per turkey. The intestines is edible. And we could even start making all the fat as well into food. So we got 50 out of the cheeses. We're probably getting a little more out of those 5 birds. 6 birds we had. Did we finish making up all of that? No. Because our carpenter's a bit slow. He has no skills in carpentry. We didn't give anybody skills. This kind of leveled it out. We also have this leather now. So if you need to make bags right away, you can make bags right away. Meat barrel. I think still clean this up. If we throw down a kitchen as well, they'll start grabbing fat and rendering it. See, there he goes. If that makes an additional 9 fat, when you cook that, each of those is an extra meal. So 9 tallow plus 9 meat gets you 18, plus intestines gets you 19 food products per turkey. I hope you found this little exercise in creative food and drink production useful. If you start freeing up some points in your Embark, you can do some really interesting things. And in fact, if you watch some old-time players, they'll embark with nothing but a couple picks, gather materials around them, quickly brew and cook, and feed their dwarves just fine. And they can use those Embark points to bring gold with them, so they have crafts right away, to bring gems, to bring iron and coal. So I just want you to consider that careful preparation and what your options are. If you have any additional questions, please leave them in the comment. I'm thinking about maybe doing another one of these videos discussing all the different skills you can give your dwarves to start out. If you're interested, please let me know. Have a great day.